Today I'm going to explain the mystery and sci-fi movie Knowing, released in the year 2009. The movie is about a scientist who decodes a random number written by a girl 50 years ago, soon realizing that the world is doomed and there is no way to save it. But before we begin to tell you the story, please subscribe to our channel as we really need your support to grow and keep making these amazing recaps. Thanks from the team of IMDb 8 Recap, if you have subscribed, and beware of the spoilers. The movie opens in 1959 at William Dawes Elementary School in Lexington. Something special and memorable is thought to be done in the opening ceremony of school. A time capsule event is held at the suggestion of Lucinda, a girl. Miss Taylor, the teacher, gives the children papers and asks them to all draw pictures of what they want the future to look like after 50 years. All the children in the class are making drawings while Lucinda is writing random numbers. She fills the entire paper with numbers. All of the children's drawings are then enveloped and placed in a capsule. After this, a function is organized in which all the teachers and children of the school participate. Lucinda stands in the distance, holding a balloon. The capsule will be buried in the ground for the next 50 years. Lucinda disappears from the event and is nowhere to be found. Everyone is looking for her, and Miss Taylor finds Lucinda in a closet in the basement. Lucinda's hands are injured, and she is writing numbers on the door with her fingers. Lucinda sees Miss Taylor and pleads with her to somehow stop the whispers going on in her mind. Now scene forwards 50 years into the future, an MIT professor John Kessler is spending a weekend night with his son Caleb Kessler. He tries his best not to let his son miss his mother. John's wife passed away in an accident last year, and now both father and son live alone. The next day is William Dawes' 50th birthday at Caleb's school. John is free after taking his class, so his colleague Phil Beckman invites him to a party at his house, but John says he can't leave his son alone. Then John remembers Caleb's school ceremony and runs to the school. When John arrives at Caleb's school, he is singing with the rest of the kids, and then it's his turn to retrieve the time capsule. Principal Clark asks Miss Taylor to cut the ribbon, after which the capsule is lifted from the ground. Miss Taylor distributes envelopes to all the children. Caleb finds Lucinda's envelope with numbers written on the paper. Caleb is looking at the paper when he sees a man dressed in black standing by a tree in the distance, and Caleb hears whispering. When Caleb looks back, no one is there, and the whispers stop. At night, when Caleb is having dinner, John notices the paper with the same numbers in his bag. John tells Caleb that the paper is school property, and he shouldn't have brought it home. But Caleb tells John that maybe those numbers have a purpose. John tells him to return the paper to his teacher. Caleb goes to bed, and John drinks while watching TV. John accidentally fills his glass to the brim, causing the drink to spill. He goes into the kitchen to get a napkin and accidentally puts the glass on Lucinda's papers. As John carefully observes these numbers, he writes them down on the whiteboard and arranges them so that they match a date. John searches for this date on the internet and finds that 9/11 is the date of a great tragedy in America. When he sees the next number, he is shocked because those numbers exactly match the deaths in the accident. He then checks the next set of numbers and dates, which are the dates of major tragedies around the world in the last 50 years, and the numbers on paper that show the death toll match the numbers on the internet. John copies all these numbers onto the whiteboard. He circles the dates in red and the number of deaths in blue. Some of these numbers are unidentified, and John does not understand them. According to this list, a tragedy is going to happen the day after tomorrow in which 81 people will die, but where it will happen is not known. The next day, Caleb sees his father very upset and asks him why, but John doesn't tell him anything. He meets Phil after dropping Caleb off at school, but Phil tells John that it can only be a coincidence because many of the numbers on the paper are randomly written. John has lost his wife in an accident, so he tries to prevent the next 3 accidents according to this list. So, he goes to Miss Taylor and confirms with her whether the numbers were written by Lucinda or not. Miss Taylor is very old and can't remember anything clearly, but she assures John that Lucinda wrote the numbers. She also tells John how Lucinda disappeared during the school's opening ceremony and was later found in the gym closet in the school's basement. John tells Miss Taylor that he wants to meet Lucinda, but she tells him that Lucinda died of an illness some years ago. Then we see John talking to someone on the phone while Caleb is outside playing. Then a car pulls up and the person in it calls Caleb over. When Caleb goes to their car, they give him a black stone. John sees all this from the window and runs out of the house to help Caleb, but Caleb reassures his father that he is fine. The next day, John goes to pick up Caleb from school. The weather turns bad, and it rains heavily. John gets stuck in traffic, and when he opens the GPS map to get to school early, he looks at the longitude and latitude of the area. These are the same numbers that are present in the list with today's date. John realizes that the rest of the numbers he didn't understand were actually the longitude and latitude of the area. John gets out of the car and asks the traffic police about the blockage. Suddenly, a plane crashes in front of him. John goes to help people and sees people burning in front of him. When John returns home at night, his sister Grace is there with Caleb. John learns from the news that the death toll in the accident is exactly what Lucinda predicted. He leaves to rest, and at night when Caleb is sleeping, the same strange man in a black suit enters his room. Caleb wakes up, the man prompting Caleb to look out the window. When Caleb looks out, everything is on fire, and people are running away from the flames. Hearing their screams, Caleb gets scared and screams. John runs into Caleb's room after hearing his screams. Caleb sits in a corner, bewildered. John sees the man outside the house, so he follows him, but when he gets there, no one is there. John somehow finds Lucinda's daughter Diana and follows her with Caleb. John meets Diana and asks her about her mother and tries to explain the whole situation, but Diana walks away with her daughter Abby after hearing all this. When John discovers the location of the next accident, it is a subway station in which 139 people are feared dead. He calls the station to inform them of the accident, but when John arrives the next day, there is the usual commotion, and he is upset to see so many people there. John suspects a person, so he follows him, but that person is a common thief. Meanwhile, another train loses its balance by changing its track and is speeding in the same direction. The train collides with another train in which John is present and a great disaster ensues. Fortunately, John survives and manages to save a woman and her child as well. When John arrives home at night with Caleb, Diana is outside his house with Abby. Diana tells John that she has heard these numbers from her mother, Lucinda, all her life. She adds that according to the list, another big accident is going to happen 3 days later, and according to Lucinda, Diana will also die on the same day. Diana takes John to a secret place at her mother's where her dead body was found. This place is in the middle of a secluded forest. Abby and Caleb are asleep when John and Diana arrive, leaving them both in the car. They go inside the house. John sees newspaper clippings that contain reports of accidents. There is also a picture that Diana keeps with her. In Lucinda's room, John finds the same black stones under the bed. John also notices something written on the bottom of the bed. Caleb and Abby, on the other hand, start hearing whispers again, and several men approach their car and ask them to come with them. Caleb gets scared and quickly honks the car horn. John and Diana rush out after hearing the horn. Caleb and Abby tell their parents that some people came to them and wanted to take them. John follows one of the men, and just as he is about to shoot him, the man opens his mouth, releasing a bright light. When John watches the light disappear, no one is there. They all return home. Diana stays with Abby at John's house. Both parents sleep with their children for safety reasons. The next day, Abby is coloring in the picture that Diana brought from Lucinda's house. Abby shows John that it's the sun, and when John sees it, he realizes that the rapidly increasing heat over the past few days is the cause of all these accidents and that the next accident will be even worse. John takes Diana and the kids to MIT to check it out. Where he goes to his office and checks. Phil approaches John, seeing him upset. He tells Phil that there has been a solar flare in their own solar system as a warning to them all. The speed of these radiation waves is 100 microtesla, which will easily destroy the ozone layer and kill all living beings on the planet. He becomes very sad because he cannot save anyone despite knowing this. Diana also overhears them and gets worried. She asks John if they can survive if they take refuge in a cave, and John says they might. They come back home. John calls his father and tells him that, if possible, he and the family should take shelter in an underground place tonight and take water and the necessary equipment with them. But his father says that he will not go anywhere, but he will be ready when the time comes. John is calling out to Caleb, but he isn't listening. He finds him in his room, writing random numbers on a page. Caleb starts writing on the table when John takes the paper from him, and he starts scratching numbers with his fingernails when John takes the pen from him. John brings Caleb back to his senses. Caleb can't believe he wrote it all. Seeing the scratched numbers on the table, John remembers something, and instead of taking everyone to the cave, he goes to William Dawes' school. When they arrive at school, they go to the basement, where Lucinda wrote the last numbers, but because of the paint on the door, he can't see the numbers there. John pulls the door out of the school and tries to get the paint off it. Diana thinks John is being silly, so she takes the children and drives off to the cave. John manages to peel the paint off the door and finds the last numbers that are the location of a place. John uses GPS to find the location of Lucinda's house in the woods. This means that this is where those people can be safe. When John gets free, Diana and the children are not there. He tries to call Diana, but the cellular towers stop working due to the rising heat. John tries to find Diana. On the other hand, Diana's car is surrounded by the same strange men. Diana stops at a nearby petrol pump to avoid them. While she goes to the store to pick up some supplies, Caleb gets out of the car and calls John from the telephone booth, telling him that they are at a gas station. Diana then approaches Caleb and takes the receiver from him. She talks to John and gives him her location. When Diana returns, Caleb isn't there, and the same strange men drive away with her car and the kids. Diana chases them in someone else's car, her car collides with a truck, and she dies in the accident. When John gets there, he is saddened to see Diana's body in the ambulance. John continues down the path where the strangers took the children, and the path leads to Lucinda's house. Once there, Caleb comes across John holding a rabbit as he heads into the bushes. He tells John that these people are not evil but want to protect him. These people will take them to a safe place. These strange men are aliens who are here for the survival of humanity. They speak to Caleb in whispers. Caleb tells John that he cannot come with them because he is not the chosen one. John sends Caleb away with the aliens to protect him and accepts his final time. He is only satisfied that his son will be safe now. The alien spaceship takes off into the sky, and we see not one but several spaceships heading into space. That means many other children besides Abby and Caleb were chosen. John arrives at his parents' house, where his sister Grace is also present. He tells Grace that Caleb is in a safe place. John's father tells him that this is not the end, and John replies that he knows. The whole family hugs, and with that, the radiation wave hits them, and everyone is destroyed. After that, we only see the devastation on Earth. We then see the aliens bring the rest of the kids, including Caleb and Abby, to a new planet and leave them there. Thus, the human species is saved from extinction. Overall, Knowing is a great movie to watch with an amazing storyline, so make sure to check it out. To watch many more exciting recaps like this, don't forget to subscribe, as that's the only way we can keep making these fantastic recaps and like this video. Let us know in the comments section about your next favorite movie that you would like us to recap. Thanks again for watching and stay safe and healthy.